The name Spiedini actually comes from a chicken dish.
Every year for my mom's birthday, we all got in the car, drove over to Latin King, said hi to the two giant cows, and then went in and my mom got that chicken Spiedini every time.
I was selected to do it because I had two skill sets. One, I could be on camera. I knew how to do that. And the second one is I could work with live audiences. I was probably at that period of time the most perfect person to play that role in soccer slang.
All right, I'm here with WCSL Commissioner Terry Rich, who's got an announcement to make about Philip Kozlowski, the Koz from the Toronto Loons.
Put together the entire board. We discussed the actions of Koz, and Kozlowski cannot do that in this league.
I loved the Lou Spiedini character. I thought he did a really good job, and especially when he and his E&G camera, Pat, were running around doing stuff. I had no idea what they were doing. I gave them the scripts, hoping they were doing it, but they were just kind of like this little crew that took off and did their thing.
For lack of a better word, it was grab ass. I mean, I was just constantly trying to figure out, what am I supposed to be doing here?
I'm Larry Morgan with Australian Hall of Famer, the legend Ozzie White.
I'm sure that I was more thinking of the money than anything else. I guess I also thought, this is going nowhere. Why not? I'll get some money out of it, and it'll die, and at least I got some cash to spend.
It's very early in the season, yet Los Angeles is open to lead in the point standings.
Oh, Larry Morgan brought legitimacy to this game. As soon as we put him on the desk, it was like, oh my gosh, this is like a real sport.
Steve Berry in his awful wig and mustache and his terrible paisley jacket, and by goodness me, what an awful accent.
Is my accent making anyone vomit yet? Anyone from your staff?
No, we love it.
Most of the time I go from Australian and then into Cockney, just like that, without even planning.
Somewhere along the lines, Terry must have woken up with a jolt one night and thought, we've got to get a real color commentator in there.
Did you know when it was going into production that it was going into production without you, or is that something you found out like after the fact?
I found out 2 weeks ago.
This has got to be of concern to New York. They're the defending WCSL champion. They might be looking at tonight as the start of a bounce back.
I think they will, but you know, Miami, they've come off a great win to the Toronto Loons.
By that time, I think his knees had gone a little bit, and so he wasn't going to be a player. That was going to be pretty obvious.
So my role changed from midfield to be the commentator.
Larry Morgan, and with me, my colorful and tastefully dressed colleague, Ozzie White.
Terry's a crazy guy. We had socialized in the past and been at parties, and I'd worn some of the shirts that appear in the shows. And Terry said, I just want you to come like you're coming to one of those neighborhood parties, a couple of drinks inside you, crazy shirt, and just be you.
Much like your outfit, Ozzie, these two teams are mixed up, crazy, and very colorful.
Well, thank you very much, Larry. I'm glad you appreciate fine fashion.
Bucks Arena was just a place you go, watch a fun hockey game, get a little drunk, and just have a blast. I mean, that place was so much fun.
Ice Arena was a big deal to us then. You know, it was really, I think, only used for hockey at that time. For us growing up in Iowa, it was the Des Moines Buccaneers that played there, so that was a big thing.
I just remember the feeling of walking into this big arena and being a little scared, not really know what was going to happen, and then getting in there and there's all these people and the excitement, and then the like masculinity. There's kind of a man smell that was everywhere.
It is what you see. I mean, it's certainly not like you see the luxury changing rooms that you have in pro soccer and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I think it kind of fit with the theme, is that, you know, we just get out there, get down and dirty, and we just play the game.
Some of the carpet wasn't completely taped down, if you really take a look at it.
I laid that turf. That was part of my job as a production assistant. As I remember, there were 3 or 4 of my buddies, you know, that from the neighborhood and soccer or whatever, and our job was to roll that stuff. It came in big giant
Huge,
sheets,
heavy rolls.
you know, big rolls, and we had to roll it. And then we had, you know, like if you're laying carpet, the tools that you're putting down and grip it in, hitting your knee to try and get it to jam up against the board. And it was exactly, when you look at it, it is what you think in your brain of what that turf was like to stand on, walk on, play on is exactly the same. Horrible, you know, it was bumpy. There were probably gaps in the lines. There were definitely gaps along the edges of the field.
Well, it's on a sheet of ice, you know, and they never put turf on the Des Moines Buccaneers arena ice rink, you know, so. And then you had him installing it.
Yeah.
I'm New York. I got to be concerned about Logan Montgomery. He's really been a one-man wrecking crew.
He's doing very well for them here, and they've not really picked him up when he gets forward.
It was basically like when you go play putt-putt somewhere. That was pretty much what it is. With I think there was even like creases in between the rolls and all of that.
I don't know what that was.
Most of the television that I've done is live, and live is really fun because it's a lot more genuine.
I remember it was one of those nights, one of those productions where there was a lot of making it up on the fly. Typical production rules were being abused and outright broken all the time or whatever, but it was very loose, very fun.
I would say our script was a little bit like Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like, here's some stuff, go out and improvise as you go. I'm sure our script in the end was 3 pages long for each episode.
I am visibly crushed by this defeat, but I'll promise you this. We'll be back. We'll be back.
It was loose, it was improvised, and I love that. And everybody, I think, likes that when you get a chance to do it.
Here you go. Here's the scenario. Now, go.
You're going to be kind of PO'd at this, and then I want you to, get mad about it. And let's roll, and that was really fun.
That's always been Terry's operation guideline. If you're having fun, then it must be right.
I'm gonna pound that loudmouth Italian into the ground. That's right! You better shut your mouth or I'm gonna do it for you, buddy. We are taking you out and your pretty little girls. You're all going back to California.
If we would have scripted the entire show, there's no way it would have been as genuine as it was, with all of the players and all of the people kind of saying what they felt at the time during the production. So I think that was one, rewarding, and two, kind of interesting that it really did bring out the natural feel.
I like the excitement, the action and everything that's going on. It's better than just sitting there bouncing a ball back and forth.
If you don't charge anything, you get what you pay for, right? So I knew we needed to charge something for the tickets, but we also need to have people come in that had no idea what Soccer Slam was about. So we printed up $5 tickets, announced you can get them by going to certain places for $5, but yet we let everybody in free, and we gave them away at the radio station, TV stations, and all sorts of promotions to get as many people as we could in there.
Bernie the Bolt milking the applause from the crowd here.
Yes, he is.
Got a big crowd in as well, Larry, tonight. Very vocal crowd.
I think there was a total of maybe 150 or 200 people total in the entire audience, but the way they were kind of spread out and then kind of clustered over to this area, then over to this area.
So they'd have one side over here, and then they'd have, everybody would move over to the other side, and then they'd all be on the other side.
So moving people around seemed kind of weird. It was all said and done, but I think they understood. And of course, today, we'd simply just buy a whole bunch of cardboard cutouts, put it in there, and dub in audience noise.
And at one point, just down in that corner right there were a bunch of football players from Iowa State. They start hammering on the glass before the game. And I was like, "Get back, you filthy animals." And I hit the boards, and this one guy leans over, kind of through the crack in the glass. He goes, "You are dead." And I thought everyone was in on the joke, right? Like, they know what's going on. And he goes, "We're gonna wait for you in the parking lot, and you'll be sorry." And at the end, I stayed a little bit longer, and I ran to my car. It was like, what if those guys, what if whatever they were on wears off, and they really go, "You know what? We're gonna kick that guy's ass."